reference input, and we want to see what happens to our system, and we want to get the desired results. Okay. What are our objectives? What are our objectives here? We want to minimize our errors between this and this. Number one, we don't want errors. That's, if it is a error is maximum, then it's no good to us. We want to minimize that error. Reference input and control variable. Second, we don't want really to do something and wait half an hour something happens. No, we can't wait half an hour. So the reaction time has to be minimized. This is what the effective control is, right? You don't want to wait for some time. And second is you don't want to introduce errors. So two objectives here is minimize error between reference input and control variable. Second objective is that you minimize the reaction time. Minimize the reaction time. We saw one mechanical system. Remember, we had an example, and the most important thing in that system is that we discussed this last time. This is the one which we did last time. Mechanical system we did last time. So we have an example of a mechanical system. And what was that? We remember that you can have a spring and you have mass m. So if you remember that we really introduce our Ft. This was our function, which is here, reference input. We were, right? So you have to tie up this with this figure. And of course, what we were control variable was Yt. Right? Yt was our variable. We want to see what is the displacement, and once we have displacement, we were able to get the velocity. Velocity, we were able to get acceleration. In that case, if you remember, when we have our equation, we were able to really see that the model equation was my double dot plus cy dot plus ky equal to ft. And the transfer function last time we defined was ys divided by fs. And basically it was equal to ms squared plus cs plus k. That was our last example, what we did in the class. For the last example, this was the transfer function. So everything is now being converted into a transfer function so that we can see how much is but we have to play with it to understand the relationship between the reference input and the control variables, whatever we have. So things should be very clear what we are doing. We are not doing mathematics just for the sake of doing mathematics. We are applying it, and we are applying it to a very specific application. That we have a system, then we have the input reference, and then we have the control variable. Last time I tried to do this, right? So we are able to define our transfer functions. So let's do a little bit more and see what type of systems we can have and can we modify them and how to convert everything into transfer functions. One is open loop control system. So you have a reference input, then you have some controller, from controller you have the system itself, and from system you have the controlled output. Now, what do you think is the weak point of this system? So you have a reference input, you have, what do you think is the weak point of this system? So you have, of course, very well-defined reference input, you have a controller, and then you basically control your system and let them drive out. What is the reason? So what is the reason? Anybody? No reason. The problem is that this system has an inherent problem. And that problem is that if any unwanted perturbation appear during this transition, we have no control. So this is very important.